some rich dude on the golf course basically said, "Hey boy, give me my clubs." And then he treated Brett like shit, and Brett was like looking at him like, you know what? I'm gonna buy that house right over there, but the biggest house. Do you see that house? And he goes, and he started, and the guy laughed at him, and Brett, 2 years later, bought that house. And after he bought that house, and he was like maybe 20, I don't know, some young age, he was cleaning out his garage, like the what do you call it, the patio in front of his garage, and that motherfucker comes up and says, "Hey, you might want to get off that garage, driveway, because the owner might be coming here soon." And he said, "Sir, you can get the fuck off my property. This is my house, so fuck you." And Brett has lived a life of doing things like that in general. He has literally the fastest white girl daughter in the country. She has broken world records. So he's coached her to do this, and I had the privilege of coaching her to get into her school. I won't tell you what school it is, but it's basically the best high school in the country, if not the world. And I was fortunate enough to meet her and teach her. But I bring this up because he's like one of my favorite people, and I just introduced him to Jeremy because both of these guys are truly two of the most beautiful souls I've met. I'm just gonna just say it straight up. We might not agree with some other things, but I don't give a fuck. Because in all honesty, what's important to me is if a person is honestly what I call good peoples, and that's what Barbara is, Miss G is, Donica is, James, I'm sure Fitz, and BA I just saw come into the room. Will tries to be as well, and I'm hoping that he gets there, and frankly, that is beautiful to me, and we'll talk about that more later. But Fitz and Guy have raised their hand. Guy, I think, goes first because Guy.
Yeah, real quick, Brandon.
Yeah.
So I will say that the three of us will dominate Asia. We will travel, have a lot of fun. But I want to ask at the end of this space if I can close out with a song. I've got the perfect song for this space.
Of course. And we're gonna go to Guy, and then we're gonna go throughout the room. I mean, we don't have a time limit, but Barbara needs to go to an open house, I think, in a little bit. So we're gonna try to keep it within a certain reasonable period. So, but Guy, why don't you define your what's your definition of beauty?
Good morning, Brandon, Barbara, Miss G, everybody in the speaker, and everybody in the listeners. I want to start by, saying thank you, bringing me up. I did follow Jeremy up here. I have noties on for him. One of my very favorite accounts here on X, right? It's funny because I was gonna say what he said. I guess he was able to come up first. I think beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. It's funny you said, I do think all women are beautiful, and you said boys, men, guys. We used to think of them as
Hey,
mean.
Brandon, I don't know if you're on Bluetooth. It's kind of hard to hear you. I mean, sorry, Guy, not Brandon. I'm looking at Brandon. I'm talking to Guy. Yeah.
People are calling me Jeremy and
Yeah.
Guy, and
Sorry. Yeah.
hey, Guy, did you fix your audio? I mean, we can reserve the spot.
What about now?
I
Oh,
think
it's perfect.
yeah, I think it's good.
Is this better?
Yes, sir.
So yeah, I was gonna say, just like Jeremy said, right? Beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. And we think of men and boys, guys as mean and ugly. Just like you said, assholes, right? But I think boys, guys, men, like you said, like Jeremy, we could also be beautiful, right? Even assholes could be beautiful, right? And I think even beauty can come out of an asshole, right? Because I think beauty is more of an action, right? It's more of an action. It's what comes out is what's beautiful, right? I know, like Donika said, it's the insides that are beautiful, which they are. Insides are beautiful, right? But I think the action, like men, that work and provide, I think that is also beautiful. Just like women, I'm not going to talk about my mom until Brandon talks about his. Um, my mom did a lot of actions, right? Like she cooked for us. That's what I think is the beauty. Um, she wasn't always the kindest, but I know she was being mean because I deserved it, which I think is beautiful in a way, right? I think beauty is when you want others to grow and be as successful as they can. So yeah, I think beauty is an action more than a thing.
That's an amazing thought. Yeah, I won't talk about my mom until everybody has a chance to, frankly, talk about their definition of beauty, because that's what my mom would do. She would not even speak until she knows that everybody's gotten their share, or she's always so generous. Like she's known in her circle as like possibly the most generous person. And she doesn't want the credit. She doesn't care about that. Like, she's never been about credit. It's all about just helping people and loving people as much as she can, because she's had a shitty life, in terms of her childhood. And honestly, she worked most of her life to make sure that my brother and I had a chance to live, but anyway, or a chance to succeed. But no, that was pretty amazing, guy. I appreciate that, on top of what Jeremy had said. So thank you for sharing. And there was something that you said that I totally forgot. There's some beauty in forgetfulness. Oh yeah, no, I remember. You said assholes are beautiful. I'd have to agree. I've seen some assholes that are kind of pretty, or beautiful. So I'm not talking about porn. We're probably always like thinking dirty minds, and all these dirty minds. What's that, guy?
It's exactly what I said, right? Beauty can come from assholes.
Yeah, I mean, let's think about this. My dad had hemorrhoids. That wasn't so beautiful. And to be honest, when I saw his face after the surgery, like, I was thinking to myself, shit, I am not. Speaking of shit, I am not going to get hemorrhoidal surgery in my entire life. I mean, that is not beautiful. That will be very painful, and that was the weakest point I've ever seen him in his entire life. So, but once he got those hemorrhoids removed, his asshole was also probably feeling pretty beautiful. So that resonated a lot. But Miss G, women first, like I said, and then we'll get to Fitz right after me talking about assholes.
I just wanted to say to clarify this for the men. We females, we find men beautiful, handsome. We see the ugly through the actions as you expressed. A person can become ugly even if he's the most beautiful one, based on the actions, based on the way that he treats other people, the way that he treats himself. So we don't think men are ugly. In the opposite, we admire men as men admire women. It's just the behaviors that let a bittersweet taste in people's remembrance of other people. So please, if you want to become as more beautiful, handsome, you just have to watch the way you act. And it will add on the outside beauty. With time, you become irresistible if you are a gentleman. You become irresistible if you are a good soul. You become irresistible and addictive if you have good in you. So just have that in your mind.
Yeah, speaking of, there was a thread between Jeremy, me, and Miss G, and I don't know what part of it, but we joked about something, and Jeremy, I can't remember what you said, but it was something about more than one, and then Miss G was like, "One only, please." So, speaking to what Barbara said earlier, one only is not a bad idea. So, Jeremy, do you want to defend yourself before we move on, or you still trying to find that song? Okay. So Jeremy does not believe in multiple. I think he was just joking, but Miss G also understood that. So I just want to make sure that that's clear. But yeah, no, I mean, I think, in all honesty, one thing that Miss G's highlighting is, if you're an asshole, and you try to look beautiful, or you try to act beautiful, or try to look handsome, or whatever the thing that you think the woman wants. And then you're talking to two women, three women, four women, five women, 10 women, whatever the fuck it is that you're doing. You're not so beautiful, because they can read that. They can find that out pretty fucking fast, and they can feel it out. And so, and for the women that don't get to learn that until too late, unfortunately, you might get away with it for a little while, but in the end, you're gonna get fucking screwed, and your asshole's not gonna look so beautiful later on. So anyway, so I think it was Fitz who was next, and then we'll go to James, and then Donica. Or you know what? Sorry, ladies first. Donica first, and then we'll go to Fitz, and then we'll go to James. So Donica.
I like something that Miss G said. Men add into our beauty. It is my mom and my dad lived for 47 years together, and they died within 6 months of each other. And all our life, we wanted to have like that kind of marriage because it was so beautiful. They were friends, but my mom always said, your dad make me feel me even prettier, even more radiant than I am, because he sees me, he allowed me to be myself. And when you find that man, a boyfriend, partner, husband, whatever he is, even a best friend, male, then always allowed you just to be funny, to be crazy, to look beautiful, even if you're to look imperfect, and to love that imperfection. It is a radiant beauty in there, is the soul beauty, because it's a physical beauty that it is in there. We can wear nice dress, the makeup, and do the hair and all of that, we dolled up ourselves. But that inner beauty, that soul beauty, is so beautiful because it stays with you, and that comes through the words, that come through communication, that come through growth and transformation. And that is so, within beauty is a relationship. It's just like these communities. You go to a space and said, wow, I feel so good in there. Man, I feel so energized. And what is it? Is that glow in your face. Is that energy that you have. And that is inner beauty. It gives you something that you crave. And sometimes when that cup is empty, you feel it. You feel it through friends, through partners. So these men, the great men that exist, and they all are there. Sometimes they need a push from the woman too, to make them as beautiful as they make us sometimes when we need it. Not that we don't know. You know how beautiful you are, but sometimes we forget. And when they see that, and they reflect that beauty and say, I see you, I hear you, you are beautiful inside and out, and you don't need me to remind that how beautiful you are. Just that look, just that presence, just that time. It is very important. So praise the man in your life and praise the woman. My dad used to say, lucky man who had a great woman in their life, because women can build churches and men become the best pastors.
Wow. Like a lot of stuff that's shared today, like is stuff I've never heard, and I've heard a lot of shit in my life, and so thank you, Donica. That's beautiful. Fitz, do you want to contribute here? Since yeah, let's go to Fitz.
Okay. First off, awesome space. I'm super stoked. I was excited for this space as soon as I learned about it. Because I'm an ice hockey ref, and I'm gonna kind of do a little hockey diatribe of sorts right now, because beauty in the hockey world is like, this guy's a beauty. What a beauty this guy is. And so first and foremost, Brandon, you can see it in my quote post. You're a beauty, bro. And I think I love sharing that because it's like, for me, it just encompasses the best way for assholes. Hockey players are assholes. With men, women, doesn't fucking matter. It's like anybody that's got the stripes on, we're fucking beauties. We're out there. We're the best team on the ice. We hype each other up just like everybody else on the ice is hyping one another up to either win the game or whatever. So, anyways, that's probably a little somewhat different and maybe a kind of specific perspective, but I hope that it's valuable to the space. And thank you for allowing me to share it.
Yeah, no, thank you. It's interesting because Fitz and I know one another from, I don't know how long it's been, what, 2 weeks? But one thing that I've learned about him, or I learned today actually, is when listening to him, I was listening to myself to a certain degree because he likes a word that I like. And you just made me realize maybe I need to use that word less because the way it sounded, I don't know why, but when you were using it, it almost made me kind of sound. It made me feel like, is this what my mom thinks when she listens to me say that word like multiple times? So I'm going to tell you a quick story. I'm sorry to divert a tad, but I use the word fuck a lot, and I try to use it in places where it's appropriate, or I just where it's important to me or whatever. But I also use it in front of my mom and my dad, and my mom and my dad like literally go, "No, that's not good. You shouldn't be saying that. You should stop using that word." And then I have the video. I'll share it if people are wanting it. My mom literally, while we're having breakfast one day, she goes, "What? Fuck you? What is fuck you?" And she starts literally translating it with AI, and you could see her reading what "fuck you" means in Korean, and then she goes, "Oh, it's not that bad." And I was like, "What? You don't think fuck you's that like?" And then I said, "Mom, so does that mean I can use fuck you more?" And she goes, "No, no, no. That's still inappropriate." And so I can't do a good job. So I need to share the video to give you that experience, but she reminds me on a regular basis. So it's just as a heads up. I mean, that's what I heard when I heard you talk. Is I heard the word fuck a lot, and
Yeah, I apologize. I probably do use the F word too much. When I'm on the ice, like, so my boss, I work for a league, the BCHL, the British Columbia Hockey League, and my boss is an ex NHL linesman. He worked 2000 over 2000 NHL games, 3 Stanley Cup Finals. Like, he's a legend, and he sends us emails like all the time. And we're in the off season right now, but like during the season, he's like, "Do not curse on the ice. Like, you should not be using profanity on the ice." And so we're all like, "Okay, yeah, we gotta tone it down. We gotta tone it down," and we're trying to. The game is just so emotional, and like when the player is like 3 feet from you in your face yelling "F you, F you, F you," like, it's hard, but that's our job actually, is to stay calm. So so you're right, you're right.
Well, part of the reason why I was saying that is not because of just you reflecting or you reminding me of myself. Is it made me think of like what Miss G was thinking, or maybe what Barbara was thinking, or maybe what Donica was thinking while they're listening to you speak, because your message sometimes comes through better without that usage, and I don't know what they're thinking. They might just be used to it. Like Brett used to tell me, his daughter was raised in the office, and Ashlyn is this beautiful 18-year-old girl right now, right? But she never uses language like that. Like, I've never heard her say F, fuck or shit or anything ever, and her mom, Angela, is why they're a perfect and harmonious couple. And I've met Angela multiple times, and you can tell like she's part of the reason why Brett is so successful. And even though Brett has no problems using the F word, or frankly, all those men or boys did it in front of Ashton while she was growing up. I don't know. I mean, ladies, do you have any thoughts? And then we're gonna go to James as far as like the use of profanity.
When it comes to hockey, I think that's the beauty of it. You can be aggressive, you can show that momentarily emotion, and that's the way you recognize it. But when it comes to females versus males, uses of profanity, it's what distinguishes people from one another. It's like if you see a female, you'd appreciate her to be more genuine, to be more calm, less swearing. Of course, we do swear, but that does not define us just by that action. But it is considered more beautiful to speak your mind, to be precise, not to go around, and actually to respect the times of others. That's a beauty in and of itself. But yeah, I got the spirit of it. I got the whole of it. I would love to listen to the other guys' definition of beauty because I'm interested. The more this space is going on, the more we see that there are different perspectives when it comes to beauty. We not only see the outside, but we also see the inside. We see the actions. Every single detail can hold beauty in it, but in order for you to see it, you must have it within you in order for you to recognize it. So I would love to go to James and after to the girls because James has been waiting with patience.
Appreciate you, Miss G. Brendan, once again, awesome space. Two amazing co-hosts. Donica, amazing person too, sending you guys hearts.
Okay, I'll come back tomorrow. But yeah,
I view
so
beauty
Beth, do you want to pick a number?
as, obviously,
I would love to.
if someone
What about
looks
17?
good, outside beauty,
Great number.
looks, that's obviously one. But
James.
for me, it's mostly like more like character in a person.
Push it now so Beth doesn't get
And
scared.
the character
But, yeah. So what happens, Beth,
arts
if you
attractiveness,
guy
basically. And a couple examples are like Fitz just said, for hockey or any type of sport, like it's like the intangibles, leadership. Like they don't, the athletes don't give up. And they just keep fighting. Like
proper execution
and then
with
I guess like
strategies
honesty and trust is another one that that also kind of shows beauty.
in the beginning during
groundwork. Just I think beauty is like so many character traits that make up beauty, and I think it's just what a woman's looking for. I guess like particular ones, because there's a lot of them. So, and if I were to see all of them, it would take me like forever. But no, I think the mostly character, like for me, like I'm okay, like in a space, like if people go before me, I don't mind at all, because I'll listen to like music on my computer and stuff. So patience is another one. Patience, honesty, leadership. Those are all good ways to characterize beauty. Different kinds of kindness, acts of kindness too. You know, um, self confidence and confidence in yourself too. So,
Just listed some for you. That's my answer. And I didn't know when I sponsored wasabi that that was actually a restaurant in Seattle. So I guess that wasn't random actually. So there you go. And fitness is very important too in terms of beauty because like on an outside standpoint, like if you're a little out of shape, that's fine. But and then if you go to the gym like consistently, that's shows like passion. So that's what I want to say. And I'm out of sponsors because I'm going to make people fall asleep.
Can I follow up real quick with a question to you, James? And I'll pick on maybe some guys here once in a while, but you just talked about like working out, like this passion around working out, and let's say you're in a gym, and you see this larger lady who's passionate about working out, like she is just fucking. Doing bench presses, she's, doing squats, and she is just literally just tearing it up. But she's 270 pounds, which I mean, I hate to use that number, but and she's 5'2", and but she's pretty. She's very pretty. Her face is very pretty. Now, do you think that's beautiful, or I'm just curious? And the interesting thing is we define beauty as not necessarily physical or outside, but I'm curious, just because you just said passion is very beautiful, but what about this woman who's so passionate, but yet she can't lose the weight?
I don't mind that at all.
Okay. So I have this girl, her name's Patricia. No, I'm just kidding. No. Okay, and her phone number. No, just kidding. Okay, anyway. I was just curious. I was just
No,
curious. So
because like people are it could be like a genetics thing, right? Like people were born like with that, or so it's like I don't mind, it's
but wait a second. You said you don't mind. So like I wonder if, and sorry for picking on you, but I mean this is a general thing for both sides. I'm kind of curious. Like we don't mind, but do we find it beautiful? Does that make sense? Because or do we find it attractive? Which then again, I don't know if we're necessarily, or I'm identifying beauty as attractive. Does that make sense?
yeah, like the passion of working out I like, but like maybe the weight is a little bit
That's what I'm saying, right?
yeah, like
Because like online dating, for example, you get all these images of somebody who has to give their best basically shot at the momentary opportunity to show their beauty, right? They're basically highlighting who they are, and then you can read into the details, you know. But a lot of guys, I would argue, maybe even women. I'm kind of curious what women think on this. Like, you know, is the imagery more important? Is it the words that are in the profile? I mean, like in Hinge, there's a lot more, details as far as their character, sometimes videos and stuff like that. But you're also half Asian, which I think is very interesting because in the Asian cultures, we don't have a lot of overweight, or that's not as common, I think, as the West. And so we are made fun of a lot of times if we're overweight, and it's automatically looked down on. Basically, the irony here is even though the Japanese have this wabi sabi, all of them are like rail thin, right? Or they're very thin, or they're here. I'm going to tell you a really funny story. Okay, so and sorry to dominate here, but I dated this Japanese girl in 2017. I met her on, I think, OkCupid or Coffee Meets Bagel. I can't remember. And I'm a Korean American growing up in the United States. And I used to do like 100 push-ups straight. Like I just used to have this ability where I could just do push-ups like crazy because I hated push-ups growing up. And so I just overcame it and just started doing 100 push-ups straight. But then I got either depressed or I don't know what happened, but I was not doing the push-ups. So, obviously the muscle turns into fat or it becomes a little more saggy or whatever. I don't know because I'm Asian. I get away with this shit. But so I'm dating this girl for 2 weeks or so. And then on one of the Zoom calls, she basically highlights how she's interested in some other profile. And I thought, what the fuck? Why are you telling me about somebody else? And then she got really uncomfortable and defensive, and she's like, no, 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 no. I'm not looking at other people. I'm just curious. And you said you're from Seattle, and basically that's why I brought it up. Blah blah blah. And the next day we get on a Zoom call. She goes, "Can I tell you something?" And then I was like, "Sure," and we were into each other like crazy at this point. And then she goes, "I'm sorry, but I think you have man boobs." And I just like, what the fuck? Like, I've never been told I have man boobs. Like I'm an Asian dude. Like man boobs, like literally, like I have man fucking boobs. And I mean, I'm happy to take a shot right now to show you all my man boobs if that if we need to prove this, one way or the other. But I can't deny she might have a point. The angles in Zoom, whatever the case may be. I went and got a physical in South Korea, and the last thing, it was to check if I had cancer, if I'd had all these crazy things, and at the end they do this book and they tell you what health conditions you have. They said basically you're healthy, but you're a little fat. Yeah, so that's the only thing we have to say is you're a little fat, and this is Korea, Korea. Where 150 at 54 is probably appropriate, 170 is not so appropriate to them. So anyway, okay, I'm getting off my soapbox. I had to pick on James a little bit here. I would imagine if we picked on Jeremy, we might make him cry a little bit today. So I don't want to do that.
No, Brennan. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right though. Like weight on a girl. Like if when I'm looking for a girl, like weight and height, like the proportion matters to me. Um, but and I don't know what's up with Asians like me. I eat so much food, I get fat a little bit, but that's it. Like I don't know what the heck is up with the genetics. It's mind blowing.
Wait till you're 45. How old are you?
Like not even half, like 25.
Yeah, just give it some years. It'll change. But anyway, so in the spirit of Miss G and getting more male perspectives of basically beauty from a male perspective, I think Rick was had his hand up first, and then we'll go to Zulu after that. So we'll go Rick and then Zulu. Or sorry, Barbara, did you have something that I don't want you to forget?
Oh, yeah. Actually, I raised my hand when you had mentioned something about your mom, and someone else had mentioned beauty in assholes. I think there is beauty in tough love. And I think that's what our moms, that's like their job, right? Like, I mean, their whole job is to raise another good human. And I do believe there is some generational trauma that's inherent in every generation, in every civilization. And I do believe that with every generation, we get better at raising our children, more information. We, learn better skills, teach our kids better coping skills. And I think as long as we focus mainly on what's positive and uplifting versus just focusing on the negative, because that can be debilitating too if you're just constantly being I guess slammed with everything that's negative in life. That's all you're going to see, right? So anyways, I just wanted to chime in on that part, because I do think that tough love is necessary. I've actually, my husband's friend comes from the adage of, no, he thinks being a friend to his son, like his best friend, is the way, to great parenting. And we're both like, wait a minute, no, your son's in his 30s now. He's still living at home. He hasn't had a job. Every car he gets, he's like totaled, and now you've replaced his third car. So I'm like, being somebody's friend is not helping that individual at all. He needs in my personal opinion, I think some lessons in life, which are, I mean, clearly we are born into a reward-based society. Things just don't come to us unless we put in an effort and, get a job, create some currency to pay for the things we want versus having our parents just spoil us to get, to death. I mean, even if you look at the word spoil, if you look at a rotten apple over time, nobody wants that around, right? And that rotten apple actually spoils other apples around it. Kind of what Brandon was talking about earlier, where if you're surrounding yourself with five people that are, not that don't have any ambition, aren't going anywhere, and their parents are also their best friend, you're not going to get very far in life. Versus, that have ambition and that have a set goal and some outcomes that they've set out for themselves, and they're trying to move through life in a positive way, and helping others along the way as well. I mean, I just think life rewards those who put in the reps, kind of, and that goes back to the weightlifting thing. And what I'll also say to both Brandon and James is, unfortunately, in the Asian community, we do eat a lot of rice, which is pretty high in glucose. And so, of course, that's just going, yeah, if you're not burning that glucose, it's going to turn to fat pretty fast. That's like, I've said this before, if you eat ice cream every single night before bed, you're going to guarantee yourself to gain weight, right? Same thing with, a huge thing of rice right before you go to bed. You need a couple of hours. I mean, it's, for your body to process and burn those carbs in the right way. And I think it's really like physics, right? Where it comes down to what you're putting in your body and what you're burning. And if you don't have the physics, you're going to then go into a weight gaining mode versus a weight or a fat burning mode and gaining muscle, which is the thing that everybody wants, including women. The more muscle that you have on your body, the more calories you can burn. And trust me on this, you even burn calories while you sleep and stand. So I think it's just really changing the mindset of what is going to offer me the most bang for the buck. Yes, I do eat rice. Yes, I do have ice cream, but it's in, certain times a day. Moderation, right? Yeah, and moderation, exactly. I think everything in moderation is really the win. The only reason why I work out is to eat, because I'm truly a foodie. Like if I didn't work out, I'd probably be swear to you, because I love food. So what I've done is I use the food as my like carrot on a stick, so to speak. Like I withhold what I'm going to eat until I get, certain things done. There again, I don't work out every day because you do need a rest day. Your body does need a rest day, or you're going to blow out your joints and that kind of thing. So yeah, that's what I would add. But yeah, this is an awesome topic, and I love what the shares have been so far. I think we're all learning and growing together, which is my ultimate win and my whole why. I even joined X is to learn and grow, and I just can't believe how amazing it is that I, get to meet people like Brandon and Jeremy and Miss G and Donika and James and Zulu that's now on the stage. I'm actually super excited to hear about everybody else's shares as well. I think Rick at one point had his hand up. I'm not sure if Zulu did. Spaces is so glitchy. Sometimes I see hands and I don't. Right now, the only hands I'm seeing are Donika's and Rick's. So Rick, then it will go to Zulu and then straight to Jason and Donica. And then just a quick follow up to what you said. Number one is that comment about the five people or whatever the case may be is Jeremy's. I don't know why everybody's confusing me with Jeremy, but and it's no diss to you. I just want to make sure he gets the credit for that. But and I don't mind being compared to Jeremy, by the way. So I would love to be Jeremy, to be honest. This part of the space is now being brought to you in part because it is 12:17 p.m. at lunchtime. Oh yeah. And the space is sponsored by Five Guys, the burger chain. You can go get yourself a burger for lunch if you choose to do so. But after that, don't forget to burn it off walking or running. So there you go. And use my code nothing to get $0 off your purchase. I was actually happy that James just gave with the commercial break because I was trying to remember what the second point you made because I don't know why, but I blanked.
That shows how sucky I am as a or not co-host, but a host here. So apologies. Yeah, Miss G, sorry.
It's okay. I was just trying to say that we have two speakers that I want to bring up.
Yeah, no, definitely. Who do you want to bring up?
Rick and after Zorlo.
Yeah, no. So go ahead, Rick.
Thank you. I appreciate it. This topic is uncomfortably out of my wheelhouse, but I was on an AI tech meeting till like something in the morning this morning. But it's very interesting to me to follow up with what James said. The Five Guys. I will add, if you take a partner to Five Guys for a mere $57.22, you could have 2 meals at Five Guys. You know, just the state of the economy. So on topic though, I think it's beauty is a really broad term, and it's I thought as I was listening here, I realized like I say it very little. I think the last time I said beautiful, it always involves nature, or the last time I used it for a person was I think I commented on somebody had a beautiful boy. It's like very easy to say beautiful, like a little handsome guy or a beautiful boy when they're little or infants. I think attractive. I think there's an odd uh, tension between the terms beauty, beautiful, and handsome. Because handsome, when you think about it, if you look at the definition, and I looked these up while everybody was talking, handsome is pleasing form or appearance, and then there's some other definition. So it's very defined. It's like attractiveness. Handsome is like that's how you define a man, a handsome man. And you might also say a beautiful woman, and those are relegated to attractiveness, like um, Penelope Cruz or Scarlett Johansson. I'm just giving fair play to blondes and brunettes are both beautiful women. Now, I haven't had lunch with them, so I don't know if they are technically beautiful. But so I think attractiveness is like a flavor. Somebody being sexy is a flavor, and that's easy to define. Beauty to me is more related to, I think if you say a beautiful, like Miss G was saying earlier, it's easy to define a beautiful soul, and I think that's easier to define as well, because if you meet someone, you don't meet people like that too often, but when you do, you make a comment to a relative or to a friend, you say, wow, they are just a beautiful person, right? Like there's something about them, right? Whatever their essence is very easy to define. And I don't, I was thinking through it, and you don't really say that much anymore, which is probably sad. Um, it's much easier nowadays, I think, to define someone who's ugly, because there are plenty of ugly people, like even on this app, that are just abusive and like I was going to pick on someone here, but I don't really know anybody to pick on that well. But there are plenty of. It's much easier to identify like the opposite of beautiful, which is ugly. I think it's much easier in real life to identify beauty, a beautiful soul, or a deer that I have a lot of deer where I live, and so I always think when deer are just sitting there eating the plants, I think, wow, how beautiful that she is. There's a lot of female deer. I don't know why there's a disproportionate amount of female deer here, but I think most animals are beautiful. I think bugs are beautiful. I think the idea of beauty, I think, is about the soul, and I think like my cat is beautiful, even though it just brought fleas in the house, but he's a handsome, beautiful boy who would never scratch anybody, ever in his life. So I think he's beautiful. Yeah, I think beauty is about the essence of a being. And thank you.
Um, if you would have been, thank you for what you said. If you would have been at the beginning when we actually made the intro, we expressed that beauty, it's like a blueprint of nature, and we can recognize it. It's like the code that we all can speak. Beauty, we recognize beauty in the things, in the people, and in order for you to recognize it, you should have it. I think we all have beauty. It's just that we can all agree that some things are more beautiful than others, and some things attract our attention because of the excessive beauty that they have. And thank you very much for your explanation. I believe that men see beauty in different ways compared to females. If you see in the art, philosophy, poetry, you can see that men actually see beautiful things in a more romantic ways. Muses, they were always the females, maybe because nature took its time when created us. The curves, the scents, the colors. When we see men, we see this more sharp, more aggressive things, which in itself it's beautiful to us females. So everything can be beautiful, and we can appreciate beauty in different ways. Thank you very much. I think it's Zula's chance to speak.
Oh, hey, everybody. Great conversation with you. Man, so I approach this from a little bit of a different perspective. I deal with unresolved trauma in family systems, right? And social systems as well, same thing, through a modality called family constellations. And some of the most beautiful things I've ever seen is this concept of alignment and resonance, right? It's almost like Jacob Collier does that has this video on the internet, and it does this. He starts orchestrating the audience, and he starts with people that have never sung together, right? People that are not classically trained or don't have any really experience about this start singing, and then they start harmonizing with each other. And what ends up happening is that real time you end up seeing this harmonic alignment, which creates resonance, right? Like that's what a chord is. Chord is three pieces working together,
Hey,
right, to
Tim, I
form
appreciate
a
the
beauty that is
comments.
greater than
No,
the
I
individual
think it's such a
pieces.
good.
And when the type of the modality that I do is deals with these entanglements or this dissonance that happens in a family system, and when people bring up the case or the issue that they're trying to deal with, when the issue is resolved in this field, it creates this beautiful alignment and resonance, regardless of what the circumstance is. And people hold each other with such kindness, with such, grace. And at the end of the day, what is emergent is the recognition of the collective consciousness that all of us are holding, right? And it's what truth is. It's what alignment is. It's deeply resonant with the core of who you are, rather than being this dissonant system, right? The way somebody's face is configured or their body's configured that is aesthetically pleasing has to do with alignment, right? Has to do with how this alignment happens, and it resonates with what we look at. And I think when we're so attracted to beauty because it's really connects us to the deeper meaning of our collective connection rather than our collective separation. That's why war is so ugly, right? Because it is destruction rather than the beauty of connection and resonance. So I'll land with that, but I wanted to put a little bit of that in perspective of how much beauty is emergent from alignment.
And that's amazing. Go ahead, Miss G.
I didn't have anything to say. I just want who's the next kids? Oh no, Bryce.
No, actually, Bryce, I think, is next. And
Bryce, yeah,
yeah,
yes.
So let's go ahead with Bryce.
Yeah, interesting topic. Yeah, and thanks, Barbara, for the invite. I just got up a little late to hear some things, but yeah, it's I like to share as I haven't been here the whole time, obviously. But I think about it. Western philosophy is something that's important to me, especially Stoic philosophy. But when you think of that goes back to the Greek and Roman times. You look at a lot of our artwork, like that we reflect upon. The statue of David. There's uh, this balance and symmetry that shows up in a lot of these ideal figures of kind of physical beauty, like the human form. And that goes a lot with the ancient thinkers and the ancient philosophers, like Aristotle. That's what he talked about the, like kind of your eudaimonia, your perfect happiness, right? Internally is a form of balance, and that manifests too in physical forms. So that's, I think, physically we get a lot of our ideas, especially in the West, right, about what is the ideal kind of face or body or something like that look like. But outside of that, beauty is a much broader domain, like Socrates would talk about, virtue or something serving its purpose well as being beautiful. The Stoics talk about kind of living in harmony with nature, right? It's wisdom, it's goodness. It's like, uh, they focus less on physical appearances and things like that, or physical beauty in general, because that's not something that can be controlled, right? Nature makes one tree look big and full, and another one that's kind of spindly and doesn't have the same type of leaves, and that could happen with a person too. So it's like there's a beauty in nature, right? In all things, right? Each form has its own beauty, but as it relates to human beings, it's more about your free will and kind of your ability to act, and more importantly, act virtuously. So the beauty is really in kind of how you interact with the world, right? And being in harmony with nature, not just the nature of the trees and bushes and things, but that everything has a place, everything in its place. Like Stoics think a lot like the Buddhists do in that way, that everything essentially has a purpose to serve. So if you, as Socrates talked about, if you do it well, if you do it good, if you do it virtuously, with high character, that's true beauty, right? Because that's something you can control. I can't control how symmetrical, perfectly my face is, or how tall I am, or things like that. When you go back to physical beauty, but you can control who you are as a person, right? And so that thinking tends to lean towards that. I kind of like that, right? Because that's accessible to everyone. Now, attractiveness, I think somebody was talking about a moment ago. I think that's kind of a personal preference, a personal taste. I'm attracted to this type of thing or that. That's not kind of a global definition of beauty, right? I think there is kind of a larger, what I'm trying to describe is kind of a larger idea about beauty. But within that, right, there's a lot of subjectivity. What's attractive to me or attractive to someone else, but I like how some of the ancient thinkers were talking about, just again, balance, harmony, wisdom, mostly in my actions, mostly how I interact with the world as it pertains to a person. I like that concept of beauty. So that was my share for right now. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Bryce. I'm gonna step in because I haven't shared yet, and we'll get to James and Fitz here after that. And Zuha, if you are able to come up, I really appreciate your beautiful thoughts. I'm just gonna give you the mic. But anyway, so thank you everybody. I mean, seriously, thank you everybody for your amazing definitions, your perspectives, the way you think so deeply about such a really, in my mind, it is a very important thing to discuss because, um, we have eyes, and obviously our heart grows over time. Now, the way I define beauty is completely different from what I define beauty as a 14-year-old, right? So when you're young, your lexicon, your database of terms and understanding of the nuances between those terms is weak. Like you can't distinguish. I mean, beauty was like one of the initial terms that I distinguished between that and ugly, right? Beautiful and ugly. And so it was somewhat what is it called? Binary as far as my thought. But then as time went on, I just like Bryce talked about, there's a difference between attractive and beauty, right? Like someone might be attractive, but they might not be that beautiful. And so I think for me personally, and why I wanted to wait till the end is because I did want to honor my mom. She is the most beautiful person on this planet in my mind, and I have to say that not just because um, and I knew this as a child for some weird reason. I used to cry myself to sleep because when I thought about the fact that she left this world, beauty would disappear.
Like this world would no longer have a beautiful soul who she is. But the irony is, and tough love, what Barbara was talking about in first grade. I mean, some of the people have heard this story already, but she threatened to kill me in first grade because I stole a marble. And basically she drugged me down a riverbank to the edge of the fucking river and literally threatened me to tell me that I was going to die that day, and she was going to jump in the river with me. And that was her tough love. She thought that would teach me how not to steal. But unfortunately, it didn't work that well because a week later I went to the convenience store and stole another piece of candy. But that's a complete aside. But in third grade, she sat me down in the kitchen and then she started asking me questions about other races, like whites, black, and other ethnicities, and she basically said, no, you cannot marry those people. I'm sorry, but you have to marry Korean. And I said, why? Like, why do I have to marry a Korean person? Like, I don't want to do the same shit that we've done all our lives. I mean, I can marry anybody I want. And she's like, no. And if you do, I'm going to kill myself. And so she threatened me then in third grade with death again, but her death, not my death. And I my entire fucking life. Like she disowned me when I was, I think, 22. She kicked me out of the house, and I've had this whole life of just basically suffering. I bring this up because Koreans have this concept called Han. And this concept, I'll even literally read from what the Wikipedia definition says. It says, in Korean culture, Han refers to a feeling of deep-seated grief, resentment, or sorrow, often linked to historical suffering and oppression, especially during the Japanese colonial rule. Like, to me, it is a lot about suffering. And to me, also, I now understand why that suffering was actually good. And I bring that up because, to me, beauty is actually realizing, kind of similar to what Bryce was saying, but like, and also what Miss G was saying, is like you have this beauty inside of you, and sometimes you have to suffer or you have to go through experiences to truly bring that out and then understand honestly what life is about. And then that suffering or whatever it is, potentially can help you understand and see the world and see how beautiful the world is. Like today, I live every day the happiest I've ever lived in my entire life. Like I wake up, I wish Stephanie was here, because we were talking about, how early I wake up. I wake up anywhere from 1 a.m. to 4 a.m., sometimes 5 a.m., depending on the day. I'm so fucking excited about life. And because I'm so excited about it, my body just wakes up, and as a result, I would argue it's mainly because my whole life has been the suffering, and then now I understand like how I can like literally take advantage of that suffering. And so for me, this whole concept of beauty is not physical anymore. It's completely, uh, about the mind and how you overcome things and how you appreciate things, and how honestly, I mean, like one thing about my mom and why I wanted to talk about my mom is because she made the ultimate sacrifice her entire fucking life. She didn't do anything for herself. She did it for me and my brother. My brother's a multimillionaire. I know that I'm going to get there myself, so I'm not worried. And ultimately, what she taught me was to be unselfish. And being unselfish in my mind is beautiful. Like and to be honest, that's one of the reasons why some of the people on Spaces piss me off, or some of the people on Twitter piss me off, is when I see that they are not unselfish, or if I see them not respecting other people. That's ugly. That's truly, truly ugly to me. And so I hope to God I meet more of you beautiful people who are unselfish, who recognize what's going on, and honestly have the sense to balance out whatever we say. I mean, like today, like this contribution to this conversation, it's been too long, but I had to say it all in order to kind of make my point of that beauty to me is sacrifice, unselfishness. It's Han. It's a multitude of different things, and I wish the fuck I knew all this when I had to write that 5-page paper in my freshman year of college, because I would have got better than a B. So fuck you, Professor Cash, whatever the hell you are. You should have did it. to me when I was 54. So anyway, and I'm sorry. I'm being ridiculous. So we're gonna get back to the hands. I thought I would just share a little bit of that, and I have no fucking clue who's next. Miss G, Barbara, do you guys know?
I think it's Fitz. I believe.
Sure, yeah, I'll jump in. Um, I will do my best to not use the F word in my share right now, so as to decrease the number of times that the F word has been said in this space.
Are you talking about food? Food?
Yes, food. Yeah,
Okay,
sure.
food.
Let's talk about food. I was going to talk about art, but food is very beautiful. So, Brandon, what we were in a space last night. I think last night is very blurry for me because I had a very weird experience in spaces. But there was a woman that came in and she cooks food. I just saw a post of hers of some food that she cooked. I believe she's Pakistani, if I'm not mistaken. Do you know who I'm talking about, Brandon?
You mean
I don't
the
know.
lady who came in at the end?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what about her? Sorry.
Oh, I saw some posts of her food. I could easily say it was beautiful.
Oh, I
It
see.
looked very, very yummy.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, there's just so many things that are beautiful in this world. Um, art, food, people, um, things, plants, trees, animals. Uh, yeah. Um, anyways, yeah, I just wanted to at least chime in a little bit more about something not hockey related that I found beautiful or that I find beautiful. It's just many things. I'm probably gonna go take a walk after this and see many beautiful things. And
Yeah, actually,
I'm very
taking that walk is beautiful.
yeah. I'm just very happy to be here and sharing space with all of you. I really enjoy.
I'd be like, Tim, so how, or Tim, ask me a question.
To divine. So yeah.
Yeah, and I love hearing you speak, by the way, Zoo. So keep that stuff coming, James.
Oh, sorry. I was going to the hospital because my hand was about to fall off. But no. I wrote something in the pill. I said the beauty is like it's like a book almost. Like you learn from the mistakes and then and actions that you did in the past, and you make yourself better. That's kind of like personal growth almost. And I think it's personal beauty, but then it shows once you heal um to others. So I think that's also powerful because I'm going through some things on my personal life that's why I wrote that. Um, you know, day by day, but it's good. So I just wanted to add that to the conversation.
I appreciate that. We obviously have talked about beauty in some different. Miss G, I mean, you've now heard a bunch of perspectives. Do you think that's added to your perspective now, or what are you thinking now?
Well, I think every perspective is special, so it just opens your horizon a bit more. I myself see beauty not only because I'm a photographer, so I'm usually seeing people externally, but I found to fall in love with every single one of my brides the day that I photographed them, not because of the way they look, but because of the way they exist in that moment. It's a complexity of feelings. They smile. You can see the child in them. You can see the fear in them. You can see everything. And that is what make, for me, them beautiful. That it makes them human. It makes them imperfect. Makes them, maybe they are the best looking that they will ever be. But I fall in love with them because I am watching them for like 10 hours. I'm going after them. I can see that everyone has the ability to be loved. Everyone has the ability to be liked. You can find beauty in the darkest places. Maybe for most of the people, it will not be the beautiful or the standard, but you see something and you recognize it as something that you want to see more of. You want to see the mystery behind of that beautiful facade, that giggling, that look. It is all about what you can decode. Most of the people, they just remain on the surface and they just want someone that is looking like a doll next to them. There are other people that they go deeper and they find character traits that they're interested in. They want to know more. There are other people that don't give a shit about all of this and they just want to hear someone's voice calm them. It is always about the person that is, it's like a mirror. You can actually see yourself in what you find beautiful.
That is so fucking amazing. Like I said, I was always impressed at everything you said, and today I'm just even more. And I wish, honestly, you would speak more, just because of everything you say. It's so well thought out, even though it's in the moment sometimes, and you can't remember. But it's but but it's still so like music. Sometimes people can riff and actually play music in such a beautiful way, right? And when you listen to it, it's just there's just some the sweet melodies and the choruses. I'm gonna shut up because Tiger Lily I think is next, and then we have Ryan, and then we'll go to Rick in that order. If you feel like it's different, just DM us or whatever the case may be. But we want to make sure that we had kind of a ladies first policy, then we kind of went equal, and then we'll go back to ladies first. So Tiger Lily, if you're a lady, and if you're not a lady, it doesn't matter. You're getting the mic.
Good morning, Brandon, Barbara, Miss G. I actually hadn't intended on speaking on your space, but Miss G was very gracious and tossed me a mic. I do have a tendency to follow Bryce into spaces, as he does tend to cultivate an interesting following. And like you've mentioned, Brandon, it's difficult to find people with a genuine perspective on spaces. Something that perhaps I may offer this morning is in 2021, I experienced, for all intents and purposes, a near-death experience. And I was in my 40s, and my family was warned to kind of planned end of life for me. And coming out of that experience, it's created a different perspective about life, about beauty, about relationships. And it's a pleasure to speak on your space and to hear you speak, Brandon. It's the first I've heard. Miss Ju, to hear you speak, because I too tend to listen a lot more than I do speak. I'm often nervous when I do speak on spaces, so I felt the not necessarily obligation, but the invitation to speak on your space, since you did offer me a mic. So I'll probably just keep it short and sweet, but thank you so very much. And again, I feel privileged to be a part of this little conversation this morning.
Well,
so thank you, everyone.
Can I say thank you? And most importantly, I don't know if you feel it, but I feel it here, and there's a little bit of safety in allowing us to be vulnerable. And you just shared something so vulnerable that, I mean, I almost feel sorry that I was fortunate to listen to it. I don't know if that's the right words, but I'm really sorry that you went through that experience. And you know, it's funny because I'm sitting here at 54 years old, and I have the ability to cry probably as easily as I have the ability to cry when I was a little kid. And it's because I now can feel things more than I've ever felt my entire life. When I think about certain things disappearing, or when I step over a flower that's literally growing in the middle of like a desert, and I see such beauty, like it's so beautiful to see the vibrant colors in this single little flower that is trying to survive in this desert. I mean, I was living in Vegas the past year, and the last 2 months I went up into the Red Rock Canyons almost on a daily basis. Today I feel kind of lazy because I had to go hiking, but um, when I go out into nature and have the opportunity to just look around and see what some of us believe in God, some of us believe in other things, but just seeing that nature and just how beautiful it is. I mean, I don't know about all of you, but when I get out there, it's just so amazing. But my point about you is you just shared something so vulnerable. And I'm sorry again. I don't know what else to say, and I'm sure you probably like, well, you don't have to be sorry. It's life, and it is what it is. A lot of people who are as genuine as you are typically don't care for the sympathy. They just say what they say, and you can do. I will share something vulnerable though. So my cousin killed herself in her mid 20s, and my ex's cousin killed himself in his mid 20s. And I've shared this a few times, so I feel kind of bad when I share it again because I feel like it might be a repeat for some people. But um, my one of my good friends who I used to work with, she killed herself in 35. This was in March, and I went to her funeral, and I got up on the podium a couple of times and tried to share what I could share about how beautiful she was. She was one of the fucking funniest ladies. Like she would send these texts that just would make you piss your pants laughing, just and she didn't realize how hilarious she was, but her best friend did, and her best friend kept on saving them. So I met her best friend after the funeral, and we ended up meeting up in Denver, and we had an amazing little hike and share, and then I found out why she killed herself, and it was really sad, because in my opinion, her, along with my cousin and also my ex's cousin, what they didn't see is how beautiful they were. They didn't understand, and this is my own problem too, is that I didn't see how beautiful I was as a kid, or as I was growing up. I had to hear from a few other older kids once in a while saying, "Oh, you're cute," or "You're cute," whatever. But society told me I'm an Asian dude who's a nerd who has a small penis. Obviously, they didn't look in my pants, but no, I'm just kidding. But in all seriousness, they 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 made me feel small, and I only had one path, and that was to study hard and then get a college degree and then be this nerd throughout life. And I couldn't be the big business person that took over the world or whatever the case may be. But I ended up saying fuck it and fuck it to basically everybody, including my teachers and stuff like that. So, but I always got punished for doing so. But this isn't about me. This is about my cousin, and this is about my ex's cousin, and this is about um, Elisa who took her life. And it just I feel so bad that they lost their lives because they did. I'm so glad for you, Tiger Lily, that you have the second chance. To view it in a different way, because obviously now you appreciate it even more. And I don't even want to speak to it. Can I shut up for a second and then let you continue your thoughts, because I feel like you have a lot of beauty to share, and I'm surprised that you feel uncomfortable, but maybe it's because you care so much. And I personally, I just don't fucking give a shit anymore about what other people think, except the people that I love in life. I do care about what they think, but even they don't give a shit about if I make mistakes and say fuck and shit and whatever the case may be. But Tiger, I hope you speak more, because in the little share that you shared, it was pretty beautiful. So I don't know if you want to follow up, or you want to go to the other people.
I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. I think I tend a bit more reserved, simply just the, I guess, the concept of spaces, or I have been in spaces where where people will kind of become harassing in the chat bubble for whatever reason. There's people on these spaces that have agendas or may disagree with what they conceive my timeline to be a part of. But I'm happy to answer questions. I also have deep feelings in my own heart with regard to friends that I do know have lost their lives due to their own hand, and or the mortality of depression. I'm someone that, now that I'm 4 years out from this experience, I've kind of dove deep into, say, the stroke community. So I interact with a lot of young stroke survivors as well as old, and there's a time during kind of the recovery from that, say the first year to 2 years, for both men and women, young and old, you really have a hard time getting up each day, because you're dealing with paralysis, you're dealing with speech issues, you may have had to learn how to re-swallow again. All those things happen for me. I'm blessed to say that I'm far better out of the weeds than I was 4 years ago. But first year to two, you're not sure that you want to keep going. And I found this, say, year two, I wasn't sure the next day was the day I wanted to get up again and continue to fight this battle. So it was either kind of, and I'll use your profanity because sometimes I just need to. It's either shit or get off the pot. And the next day it was about, you know what? It's going to be about recovery. It's going to be about rehab. It's going to be about neuro rehab, neuro PT. It's going to be about getting my speech better. And honestly, I attribute some of it to being back on Twitter Spaces, of which I didn't really know much about, had not a background in social media. I actually used to be a bit of an executive, worked as a CPA, worked at big companies. I no longer do those things today. But listening to people have conversations on Spaces, trying to discern topics, themes, and it was everything from UFOs to political discourse, which I'm not a fan, but I'm learning more about it. But simply conversations between people. I'm a staunch believer in that COVID broke people. They're still broken today. My medical Chernobyl came as a result of COVID. So I'm far more versed in that area. It's kind of the lane I kind of traverse, and I may have less to offer on geopolitics or some of these other areas. But again, I'm open to questions. I'm honored to be a part of this group and to hear you speak. And thank you again for letting me talk.
No, it's our pleasure. Yeah. I want to continue down this thread. I mean, but I also want to respect Brian and James, and maybe we'll get back to Tiger Lily and what Miss G and Barbara, in my opinion. And I'd love for Zuha. I mean, you're here now. If you have some thoughts, she has some wonderful, wonderful thoughts about everything, in my opinion. But Ryan, do you wanna take over? And then I think Jay's also raised his hand.
Yeah, thanks for having me up here. You have a good group of people in here, so I want to commend you on that, Brandon. I have a question for you. Am I allowed to ask the host a question?
But yeah, if I can unmic myself. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. So I've heard a lot of good things in here. A lot of difficult stuff to disagree with, such as beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and we see people for the beauty that they have inside and how they treat others and things like that. I'm curious why. Also, though, like, why do you think that we as a species are attracted to good-looking people, objectively good-looking people?
That's a fucking awesome question. KSJ, I don't know why, but I think it might be because we have too many speakers on the stage. And if people don't want to speak or whatever the case may be, I'd love to bring KSJ up. She has some amazing thoughts. But no, Bryce, or not Bryce, excuse me. I was looking at Bryce. Brian, I think it's because we mentioned this briefly earlier, but men control the narrative, right? Or men control basically all the financial or business interests in society. We're a capitalistic society, and as a result, advertising is skewed in a way where we gravitate towards the sexy, and that's my opinion. Growing up, I liked voluptuous, thin women, that were unrealistic as far as like how they should look. Over time, I realized personally, like it's not easy to keep a slim body. I mean, you weren't here maybe when I talked about my man boobs. Yeah, just for everybody's sake, some Japanese woman told me I had man boobs when she saw me through Zoom, and I later realized why she thought I had man boobs. It's because her husband is thin as rails. So if you have just literally a spot on your fucking pecs, it looks like man boobs to her. So I don't feel so bad, but I do look at the mirror quite often now, to make sure that my man boobs are in proportion to
Hey,
the rest
Brandon,
of my. Yeah,
can I
yeah.
answer that question?
Yeah, go ahead, Jeremy.
So it's about genetics. We want to procreate. That's what we're here for. And so we want to better ourselves. So we look for more attractive people, because we realize, not thinking about it subconsciously, that so why do women want taller men? Why do, men want beautiful women? Because we're meant to procreate and we want our siblings to be better than us. And so that's actual reason. It's not about subliminal messages through TV and everything. We just want to better ourselves. We want smarter people, or more attractive people, asymmetrical people. And so it's just a genetic thing. That's why all species look for the alpha, um animal, like when you're talking about lions and tigers, and everybody wants better because they want to create better. So that's my answer for it.
That's interesting. So I'm going to push back a little bit, but Jeremy, you don't think all the advertising messaging and then having hot chicks and videos where, rappers have all these, women with big tits and nice asses and all that other shit have anything to do with our opinion? And I want to hear Ryan's thoughts on this, by the way. But Jeremy, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I mean, we see that, but I'm just saying the animalistic side of us, this is why we pick beautiful people, or what we think is beautiful, or more beautiful than we are, is because of evolution. But I do agree with, but that's the problem. So I don't watch TV, I don't watch the news, because it's all propaganda bullshit after they got rid of the Months Something Act, the Months, whatever. They need to put that back in effect, because it made it legal to do propaganda. But no, it's just yeah, I don't. So I'm not a follower. I'm a leader, obviously, and so I don't listen to other people's shit. I know what I want, and I think what I think. And when people give me their opinion, the way I usually respond is, if I want your opinion, I'll give it to you. And so, and then when people tell me good luck, I'm like, I create my own luck. But thank you. It's just this just the way that I am, and I tried to be ugly or rude or, pretentious about it, but it's just how I feel. And so, and actually the reason I got this answer is because of Hitch. He followed genetics and studied genetics, and he's the one to explain that. I'm like, this is very true. This is true. So when I hear
So,
truth, I like
so
to say it again.
Yeah, so I don't like to disparage anybody on this platform, but I will tell you an example of me and Hitch. Just a heads up. I actually listened to Hitch in a space once, where he was like riffing with some other person, and I confronted him because of what he said. He said something along the lines of like we need to pay attention to the audience, and we need to understand the audience's interest. And I was in the audience of like three. It was like a group of five, and then they were just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I raised my hand to contribute to the conversation, and they basically ignored me. So I was like, whatever, whatever the fuck. But eventually they brought me up, and then I was like, oh, that's interesting that you care about the audience, but you didn't give a shit like for a second, whether or not people will raise their hand. And he got defensive. He got so emotionally wrapped up with my accusation, and I said it pretty diplomatically. So, to be honest, I mean, I know he has a lot of followers, and I know he's respected in some people's minds, but I don't like inconsistent behavior when I see it on this space, and I'm just going to call it out. And if he calls me out, that's fine too. But when I see kind of stuff like that, I wish we would take responsibility for our actions. The host actually ended up booting him because she never had seen him act that way before. And she said, I love you, and I hope this doesn't hurt our relationship, but you just treated that guy like crap. And I respected that lady so much that we talk quite a bit now, and we basically riff about other things. But he has a lot of time.
Yeah, I was
What's
there.
that?
I was there, and I saw that, and I agree with you. And this happened many times. You're not the first, so I just want to let you know
Okay,
it's okay.
interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. But back to Ryan. Well, why do you think society or we gravitate towards maybe the sexy or the pretty or whatever it's called? Do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you bring up media and advertising and things like that, which I do think play a role. But underneath all of that, I think we're very attuned to what we're attracted to as a species, just on a biological level. I agree with what Jeremy said. I think symmetry has a lot to do with it. There's a reason when someone puts a cartoon as princess picture as their profile picture, it's never a crooked face. It's always like perfectly symmetrical. And that's because we all know that something about that, I think, signals to us that this person has a regulated nervous system. And with the regulated nervous system, you have to earn it. And so that comes with not just experience, but yeah, survival capabilities, and also somebody's um, what was it? What was I saying? Well, Jeremy talked about like procreation and survival and things like that. So yeah, I mean, we value someone that can make us feel calm, and their face will sometimes show us that. and someone who's like very anxiety ridden, it shows up in their body in some way, shape, or form, either through, you know, some kind of illness, or it manifests as a physical manifestation, like you can actually see it. And one thing I kind of think about is, I wonder which one comes first. Is like, you know, I guess if you are not objectively good looking, you still want to feel good in your own body, and so people still look for that regulated nervous system through exercise and eating well and doing all these different things. But then you very easily get into a kind of a neurotic routine of like, you know, you get these people that take like every vitamin in the store, and and there's always something wrong with them and things like that. And so at some point you have to decide, like, okay, no matter what I take, no matter what I look like I'm going to behave as though I have everything and I'm exactly who I want to be. And I think at some point when someone does that long enough, it does translate to their overall appearance. And I think that's what we see as beauty. So
That's great thoughts. So I'm gonna just list off the order that I think we should be going in, and then Miss G, you have the right to veto my thoughts. I think Jay, and then Zuha, and then Rick, and then maybe James and Zulu, or Zulu and James. But Miss G, did you have something to share real quick, and then go, or do you want them to go in that order?
I want to say something about what Ryan expressed. I think perfect symmetry is almost impossible to find out in nature, in people. So when guys are looking for procreation, they are not looking at the face, they're looking at the curves of a woman that symbolizes if she's fertile or not. The curves are appreciated. So when people are looking at the face, they're looking for other components. It's we cannot express it. We are looking for it. We not consciously. If you see men, they will turn around even if they have their wives by their sides. If they see someone who is very beautiful, women, they look at beautiful women all the time because they don't want their men to look at them first. They want to scan the streets per se. This is my asshole side coming up. I'm sorry. Um, well, when it comes to women and beauty, they are bombarded with um, this industry that is maybe billions in. So they are always investing on insecurities. So I don't know how much of today's beauty is unique. Because if you see, there are a lot of females that they look alike. The surgeons, the surgeries that they are getting, they are making them look alike. So the unique shapes that they were given from their mothers, they are not there anymore. They have been shaped molded into this, what society deems as perfect, or you should look like this if you want to be attractive. And I don't know how much we are communicating based on nature, what nature gave us. We are communicating based on what we think that society is accepting as beauty. And there when comes the other filters that you have to put for people in order to define it. If you have a beautiful soul in front of you, being graceful will make you 100% beautiful in the eyes of the beholder. But external only, you can buy beauty if you have the money. And it's very sad in today's age because we are being sold a fake standard and we all are going like the ships behind of it, and originality and nature by itself, it's being lost in translation. Thank you very much. I think it's Zuch. Let's hear Zuch, and after the guys, after they.
Oh, thank you so much. Um, it really is very satisfying, the conversation, having studied anthropology and social sciences and tapped into psychology, sociology, and all these matters. And we, like, while being trained, we really take the body as
a very crucial and important topic because it is it is the subject of cultural norms. It is the first thing that cultural norms address, whether directly or indirectly. And I'm going to incorporate some media approach to it. Basically, beauty standards are, if I want to extend from your conversations and what you've been mentioning, and I love that Ryan said objective beauty. I literally wrote it down so I can mention it. And it does extend from the Han concept that you mentioned, Brandon. So, beauty standards are complex social constructs shaped by an intersection of cultural norms, psychological conditioning, and societal power structures. So, anthropologically, they do reflect the shifting cultural values that are highly influenced by globalization, by media, by local traditions, and extending from what Ms. G just said. Per se, you have studies about the sunscreen industry and how much money they are making from marketing that stuff, going to like really cultural stuff that goes into like K-pop, Afro-Arab glam, digital subcultures, etc. So beauty operates as a form of like a social capital, and it is oftenly reinforcing hierarchies tied to one's race, one's class, one's gender, one's ability and physical or whatever capabilities that society has already convinced them to do that, also while serving a tool of inclusion or exclusion through algorithmic visibility that we have on social and market driven trends. So this entices a psychological approach, which is like repeated exposure to idealized imagery, especially online, and most crucially online, that fuels comparisons, body dissatisfaction, anxiety, rooted in both, I would say, like evolutionary cues and learned behavior. Yet, the resistance that's not to sound as a pessimist like all the time, but like we have some kind of resistance that's been growing, which is body neutrality, the decolonization of whatever aesthetic means, and an intersectional activism that is just challenging those standards about appearance and whatever appearance is for us on the cultural level, which is also as a lived experience, it is highly shaped by identity, by perceptions, like the different perceptions that we have, that is highly, again, very culturally and socially constructed. And I would like extend on this by saying that this cultural construct really redefines what the social meanings behind or like how it perceives the body and how it perceives women or men, the site of identity that is sometimes also it does go deeper into religion and the older worlds and how it is reflected to our modern societies, health norms, other like beauty standards, dress codes in offices, or like, you can extend it to all the subcultures that we have in our society. But it also is deep to like perceiving not only the way we are on the cultural level, but also per se when we're young, when we're adults, when we're aging, and those beauty standards that we have set on the cultural aspect is also isolating for per se the aging people, because bodies do change over time, and this is not acknowledged when it comes to discussing beauty and the fuss around it, because they don't like most of the institutions in society, they don't realize that they are isolating aged people per se from the different aspect of like productivity and beauty and care, etc. So I don't know if that, like, I don't want to go deeper, Brandon. But like I want to say also like the final thing that I would like to add, which is like pure anthropological, is basically ritual and performance. Beauty is performative, and this is something that we must not ignore. It's what we must, like, we should really acknowledge that with like tattoos, the way we sacrifice certain things, like in different tribal maybe societies nowadays, but like a lot of a lot of cultures, a lot of religions, they do still they do have sacrifices that they do on different occasions, and it is really central around the body and the rituals around the body and what they do, how they dance, how they express the art on their bodies or through their bodies. So this is why I said it is like disciplined and controlled and mediated and related to religion and to culture. Thank you.
So now does everybody understand why I've been trying to pull up Zuha for the last like half an hour or maybe hour and a half? This young woman who I had the privilege of meeting because of her brother just opened her mouth one day. And she was always quiet in this other space, and I didn't get to hear her beauty in her words. And then one day she just went off, and she was talking about taking care of people and humanity, and just she was talking about what I have probably dreamt of doing since the beginning of my life, when I could start to think of like, what do I do, and what's my purpose. But it was so beautiful. And then I've encouraged her a bit to talk here and there, and we've had conversations, and I had no idea she'd just blow my mind again. Like this today, my brain is actually like in Korean we say tajasa, which means exploded. So my brain tajasa. And I mean, we've obviously had so many amazing thoughts, but Suha, I applaud you once more. And Miss G, you seem to be doing a better job with the hands. I don't know who's next. Do you know who's next? Just